Scientists have shown interest in a grand unified theory of everything. A lot of people anticipate this task will be achieved through the discovery of some new particle or scientific principle. But for a theory to actually be grand unified means it needs to account for not only math and science, but metaphysics, life, free will, consciousness, history, and politics. If it can't, it's not a grand unified theory. But politics is the practical art of organizing people in the real world, of law and managing resources, which tangibly affects our daily lives. So metaphysical and spiritual considerations seem to have nothing to do with politics. Many self-proclaimed spiritual people are apolitical, and many politically active people are uninterested in metaphysics and spiritual purpose. Is a deeply transcendental system possible that takes into account evolution, science, history, sociology, and psychology? What if our evolution and optimization were themselves the objects of spiritual reverence? This perspective reveals our hidden purpose, leveling up our collective consciousness. Remember the big picture. We are beings that evolved from single-celled organisms on a billions-year-old planet spinning in outer space. The laws of the universe allowed for the creation and the evolution of life and consciousness. As our collective consciousness expanded, so did our ability to organize ourselves. That's what politics is. But the way evolution works is that optimization isn't just handed to us. We have to grope our way through history, learning and growing from our mistakes along the way. After millennia of human history, many struggles have delivered us higher standards of freedom, and we anticipate that those standards will continue to rise. We've come a long way, and we have a long way to go. With this process, humanity strives for ultimate freedom. As individuals, we're not visitors in the universe. We're the universe experiencing itself through us. Our civilizations and cultures are expressions of our collective consciousness, so they too are not in the universe, but are a part of the universe. The more conscious and rational we and our society become, the more conscious and rational a part of the universe itself has become. Evolution is a process of simplicity to complexity, ignorance to wisdom, weakness to power, unconsciousness to consciousness, subjugation to freedom. So ultimately, what is it that we're striving towards? In other words, what is it that the universe is striving towards through us? So if the universe, through us, is developing ever-increasing knowledge, power, and freedom, what is the logical conclusion of this process? It is ultimate knowledge, power, and freedom. Taking into account modern knowledge about the cosmology and evolution, we know the following. The Big Bang emerged from a singularity outside of space-time. A planet formed, which is likely one of many that had conditions for life, which led over billions of years to the evolution of an advanced species with the capacity for conscious self-reflection, planning for the future, great works of art, and abstract thought. Life has a very wide spectrum of possible states of mind and levels of consciousness and intelligence. We've come a long way, but we may have no idea just how mind-bogglingly far advanced and beyond us the universe can possibly go in consciousness and intelligence through other beings, or beings we may ourselves evolve into one day. And if we accept those logical facts, then, well, we just may be what some might call divine in our intrinsic potential. So, if we view our own evolution and optimization as sacred, we'll have higher standards for what we demand of our institutions and ourselves. When we have higher standards, we become more vigilant, proactive, and solution-oriented. With clarity and purpose comes the willpower and fortitude to become transformative. Until recently, evolution was an unconscious process. But once we evolved consciousness, we began making choices and designing our world. To be conscious is to be responsible. The consequences of these choices will determine if we make it to the next phase of evolution. If we optimize politics, we optimize our world. If we optimize our world, we optimize our collective consciousness. And to optimize our collective consciousness is to level up life in the universe. For this reason, politics is highly spiritual. On a basic level, the way we organize ourselves determines how we think and what we do as a society. Some politics and cultures enslave, oppress, distract, dumb down, or are purposeless. Some politics and cultures are liberating, enlightening, and full of purpose. One of the tragedies of predatory capitalism is its sheer purposelessness. It commodifies human beings and fetishizes status symbols and material accumulation. With no sense of the genuinely sacred, a religion of consumerism has pervaded our culture, and we can hardly notice its absurdity, just like a fish doesn't notice water. In this modern consumerist religion, shopping malls are temples, celebrities are gods, and getting rich is enlightenment. If you think this simulation of culture and fulfillment is optimal, then it's time to wake up. There is absolutely no way that consumerism, poverty, atomization, and exploitation in any way could be features of an optimized human organization. We tried this system out, and will, no doubt, move on. Evolution demands it. So where do we go from here? More importantly, how high should our standards be for ourselves? We didn't just climb out of the primordial pools to give up here. We haven't come close to reaching our inbuilt potential yet. Let's not get complacent. No one's coming to save us. Do we have the guts to take responsibility? So what does taking responsibility mean? It means a politics and a culture around people not as consumers, but as conscious individuals with massive potential. Not as means, but as ends. The goal of a truly enlightened system is simple. It's none other than to optimize the happiness, consciousness, and self-actualization of its people. Consider this thought experiment. If you were about to be born and could become any newborn, how would you honestly feel about your chances? You could get spectacularly lucky, but there's a much higher chance you won't be afforded ample opportunities to realistically maximize your happiness, consciousness, and self-fulfillment. You'd probably be nervous going in. To be born is to roll the dice. The only way you could be totally comfortable in that situation is if you had the certainty that no matter which child you were born as, you'd have legitimate access for happiness, consciousness, and self-fulfillment. Optimized politics is the politics of positive psychology and human capital. It's about organizing our resources to make us smarter, happier, self-aware, virtuous, and harmonious with each other. When the idea of our optimization becomes sacred, we will then be able to optimize our politics. This will lead to a massive collective organization of effort and resources into bettering people, and this synergy could bring about the conditions for an explosive paradigm shift. Because what couldn't a happy, healthy, harmonious, talented, and self-actualized population accomplish? And this is how the grand theory unifies.
An eternal source mathematically makes matter and space-time, which creates stars, planets, and biological life. They evolve into complex, conscious collectives, cultures, and civilizations, who in the long run either fail or succeed. What is great in us is that we're a bridge and not a goal. Between ignorance and wisdom, animal and divine, there's a liminal place of transition, a place where we are exemplars of both horrors and greatness. We beat the game when we begin to organize ourselves in a politics and culture that brings out the best of what each of us is capable. Our past, present, and future evolution is sacred, We've come a long way, but we've barely seen anything yet. Our descendants may be to us what we are to cave people. But that won't come about by accident. We do have to want it. Then, graduation, and on to the stars.